Hello, Roland Foster. I'm going to quickly go over the using the new AIFlow AIGround configuration utility. I have here a default installation in the community folder. I'm going to click on the configuration utility. You can see the tabs in it are arranged left to right in the perspective of a user flying from a departure airport to an arrival airport. You have depart, special departure runway settings, cruise, landing settings, special landing runway landing settings. So let's look at the first tab, depart. The thing to remember with AIFlow AIGround, you can think of it as a collection of utilities that have been developed over time, and the default settings are pretty well understood. So the default settings that you see here are a good starting point. Don't feel like you have to analyze every little option that's presented here. But I'm going to go over the changes that I usually make. It depends on how you use Microsoft Flight Simulator. I use it in the role of airliner flying usually. So these are the settings I normally make. Transponder code to zap AI ahead of user. I run at medium to high AI traffic density, so often AI, whether under control of Microsoft Flight Simulator or my program, will get stuck in front of the user, or there's just too many AIs ahead of you, or in a hurry, whatever. You can just zap them and get them out of the way. So you just enter a special squawk code that you can enter in your aircraft to make that happen. Also, sometimes AI will stop. This is under control of AIGround, AIFlow. Sometimes AI will think it's colliding with you, but it's generally in front of you, and it can go ahead and go on its way without impacting you. You can enter a special code to send it on it. Just tell it, go ahead. You can go ahead, and the transponder code to temporarily stop landings. That's a very useful code. However, or a function. However, in the latest version of AIFlow, they now talk to each other. Now, one thing they do talking to each other is if there's a backup for forced taxi out AI at the user's airport, it will tell AIFlow to temporarily stop the landings until the departure progress is cleared. It will also stop pushbacks as well, just to clear out the in progress departure AI, to have them take off and get out of there. So, but this temporary transponder code to stop landings is still pretty useful if you want to manually enter it. For regarding some more flow control, I usually limit the pushbacks to 3 per a 3-minute period. Like I said, I run medium to high AI, and when you first load a situation, there's usually a rush of AI departing. And this helps with that situation, eliminating the rate, especially initially when you load a situation. The AI takeoff target time, I usually bump that up to about 35. And the extra time for heavies, I keep that about 5 default. Okay, forced takeoffs, I'll get into that later. Cruise, I don't really make any changes here. Utilities like FSLTL, they do a pretty good job controlling airspeed based on the data they're reading from online real sources. So one thing you can do, I usually keep this on, but sometimes I do disable the cruise profile so that it's not overriding the speeds at different altitudes. So to disable something, you can just click on the disable, and it should just switch everything to disabled values. Landing, what I change here is usually the landing target time. I bump that up to about 9. I use forced landing mode. So you have to keep the landing target time pretty low, but you can bump it up to 9, maybe 10. And that's not like that's just deacceleration time. That's not time to vacate the runway. So although it is a low time, it doesn't really look that low when you're running the sim. So forced landing runways, I'll get into that later. Traffic density, I'll get into that later. Special options. If you want to run it in the tray and hide the icon and just put it in the tray, you can click these. So after you've made all your changes, you go to tab 8, save and launch. You can apply all pending changes. And then you can launch AIFlow and AIGround. And you can launch them before you load Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can launch them after the sim is loaded. It doesn't matter. You can keep this utility. It takes up a little bit of memory, but it's not memory from the. It's not shared memory with Microsoft Flight Simulator. So if you have plenty of main system memory, that's not a problem, and it doesn't use any CPU cycles really. So you can keep this running if you want to. If you want to make some changes while the flight is underway, or tweak settings, you can do that. So that's basically it. One thing I forgot to say was most of these have help settings. So if you hover your mouse over the box, it'll bring up relevant help text. And also don't forget that the actual .ini files have extra features that aren't shown in the configuration interface. They have to do with like more detailed AI performance, like here's just randomly looking at AI force landing secondary parameters. You can change those too manually, and they won't get overwritten or anything. So that's it. And next is the force takeoff and